Hi, everybody. The story that I'll be sharing with you after this is in sign language. Sign language is used all across the country. This story is in ISL, which is Indian Sign Language, with a little bit of ASL, which is American Sign Language. You will be able to watch the story in sign language alone, and then after that we'll play the video with sign language and with voice instructions for hearing people to understand what sign language looks like. Maybe you'll be able to learn some new words like hello or thank you. I hope you enjoy yourself watching this video. Hi everybody, my name is Kavya Srinivasan and this is my sign name. Today I will be sharing with all of you a story. This story is from America. There in the US, many deaf people shared this story. It's very famous. If you like this story, you should share it too, for sure, with your friends or with your family. Are you guys ready? Let's start. This story is called The Deaf Tree. What? A deaf tree? Yes. A long time ago, there was a man who lived in a little house near a forest. In the little house, the man, what did he do? He worked in the forest as a woodcutter. This man had a son. When the son was a little boy, he would watch his father go into the forest to go near the trees and cut them. He was waiting for the day that he could join his father in the forest to cut the wood. And so the boy waited for many years, and he grew into a man. And with his father, he went to the forest. They carried an axe over one shoulder and a lunchbox in the other hand, and they walked into the forest together. His father decided to teach him how to cut trees. So the first step was to choose a tree, a nice big one. The second step was to check the axe was sharp and to begin to cut the tree down with all your might. When the tree begins to sway comes step 3, to shout, "Timber!" And then the tree would fall over. The boy understood. He learned all of this so fast, and he began to go into the forest on his own to cut trees. And then one day, when he was going to the forest by himself, he saw a big tree. Chose a tree. He checked if his axe was sharp. He began to cut it with all his might. When the tree began to sway, he shouted, "Timber!" The tree fell over. Then he saw another tree, a bigger tree. He was ready now. Pulled out his axe. He held it tight. He checked the blade. He began to cut the tree down with all his might. And when the tree began to sway, he shouted, "Timber!" And the tree fell over. The man was very proud of himself. Then he saw a third tree. Took out his axe, he began to cut it with all his might. And then when the tree began to sway, he shouted, "Timber!" And the tree fell over. All of this cutting had tired him out, so he opened up his lunchbox and ate his little sandwich. And just as he was resting after his lunch, he saw the biggest, most incredibly large tree. "It's huge. I want it," he said to himself. So he took his axe and walked up to the tree. Checked the blade. It was sharp.
He began to cut it with all his might. And just as the tree began to sway, he shouted, "Timber!" But the tree still stood. The tree was still swaying. So he shouted, "Timber!" And the tree was still there, just swaying. So he cleared his throat and shouted, "Timber!" one last time. Still nothing. The tree was still continuing to sway. Thought about it. He had an idea. He had to ask his father. His father had so much experience with trees. So he ran back home to where his father was there to ask him for help. His father was an old man now. He said, "What do you want, my son?" "There's a tree in the forest, father. It's so big, and I cut it, and I cut it, and I shouted timber, but it didn't fall. It was just swaying." "How?" Father said, "Wait, I will go with you into the forest." And so they walked slowly into the forest all the way till the big tree that he had cut already. It was still swaying. His father went up to the tree and observed it. He stood in front of it. He knocked at it. He sniffed at it. He tried to taste it. He looked at every little inch of the tree. And he figured it out. So he stepped back. The son asked him, What is it? What did you find?" Father said, "Wait, I have an idea." So he stretched out his arms and began to sign TIMBER. And the big tree fell over. The son was surprised. "How?" And the father explained, this was a deaf tree. It doesn't need shouting. It needed sign language. That's all. It was simple. Thank you for listening.